Greetings, friends and foes, and welcome along to episode 43 of Keep Your Friends Close and Your Animes Closer! With me, as always, your anime commentator, Joel.
And me, as always, your anime spectator, Robert.
And me, your anime cameraman, Curtis.
You're not meant to speak. Cameraman, you're behind the camera.
Sorry.
Well, technically you shouldn't be in the box because you're the spectator.
Yeah, but I won a prize. I won a competition that I got to watch from here.
We watched Redline, which is a very movie.
It is a very movie.
It is a very movie. If you want to know what our thoughts are on it, we'll get to that in a sec. Hey, it's Joel from the future. If you have already done the hard work and watched the movie and you don't want to hear us summarize it, you can skip ahead to 17 minutes. Thanks, future Joel. Bye. But first we need to do Redline Abridged.
A dog man in a helmet and goggles shells and eats peanuts. There's a reveal of a steampunkish setting, out in a desert, rusty metal and old machine parts making up a shantytown racing track. There's lots of dogmen about and alien people sitting around. They're excited for the race. A hoverjet, rocket car, booster, speeder type race zooms past them at drag speeds. This is the Yellow Line, a dangerous interplanetary race to qualify for the even bigger, even more dangerous one called Redline.
Even more planetary one.
Even more interplanetary one. There's a human girl driver and other drivers introduced with exposition about the different planets that they're from. It doesn't matter.
The girl does matter because
the girl does.
Her name is Cherry Boy Hunter Sonoshi McLaren.
I'm glad you took it because my entire notes just refers to her as girl driver. Think about it as being like a cross between Mad Max World, F-Zero X Cars, and Mario Kart on crack.
And also like Death Race because they can kill each other.
True. Some drug lord criminal is holding some other alien guy called Frisbee hostage, talking about how some hotshot Elvis Presley looking kid in a yellow rocket car called JP better not win or else. And
he's digging his finger like right up into his gums and pulling his fake teeth out.
It's gross. Frisbee says, "Don't worry, he won't win," and he shows him a detonator to a bomb that he's affixed to JP's car. It comes down to the wire where it's just JP and the girl racer. He almost wins, but then the bomb sabotages the car. Boom, and he loses the race. She wins the race, winning a place in Redline, and then Frisbee visits JP in hospital with a big case full of money, which JP turns down. Something about bribes and prize money and having morals. The press bursts in, and JP finds out that he is actually also qualified for Redline because it's happening illegally on Robo-World.
And two other drivers have dropped out. Their names are Kurokuro Daza, who is a chicken, Shoto Ojin, who is like a squid person, I guess.
Yeah. So he has won a part in the race now, and so he goes, yeah, I'm coming to the race, even though it's illegal.
I think the whole thing is always illegal. Yeah. It's just that the place that the race is taking place is Robo World, which is, and they don't want it.
Yeah,
they don't want the race. They're like, please, we're a peace-loving cyborg race.
Don't bring it to us. The races arrive on Robo-World regardless. The cyborg dictator is angry about them arriving.
They arrive on the moon of Robo-World.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Because they kept referring to them both as Robo-World.
It's the Robo-World moon, and the space president, the Robo-World president is like, we shouldn't have made that moon a demilitarized zone.
Yeah. He's really angry about it, so he sends his men to kill them, but because it's demilitarized, he has to be treading carefully about it, otherwise he risks the rest of the galaxy finding out about Robo-World's secret military secrets. JP, the Elvis Presley dude, he buys some more of the little walnut nitro things that he uses to give his tank a boost during the race, but he gets shafted by the exchange rate, and then he buys some cigarettes.
No, that's not what he's doing.
Isn't he?
He's just exchanging money. The things that they give him are currency. They're like alive little snails.
Oh, I thought they were those nitro booster things.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's just whatever Robo-World currency is.
Fair enough. He uses those to buy some cigs, and then it never comes up again ever. JP goes to find his four-armed mechanic, who tries to convince him to rig weapons on his vehicle this time.
His four-armed mechanic's name is Mogura.
And he's got a big mustache. He says, you need to rig some weapons on since anything goes at Redline. You're allowed to kill each other. JP refuses, which is why he has the nickname Sweet JP. He also says that he's going to continue to use the same mechanic, Frisbee, for this race. But the mechanic guy says, Frisbee's a washed up, good for nothing, no good, and he consorts with the mob now. And then Frisbee, who was there, says, yeah, but I'm still a damn good mechanic. JP goes to an underwater restaurant to chat up and scope out the competition, the girl racer. She mentions a little orb that she keeps around her neck on a necklace that's 100 times as powerful as his little nitro walnut.
But there's no car that can withstand it.
Yeah,
so
can't
it's
possibly
just
withstand anything, blah, 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 Chekhov's walnut. Then some cacao-looking lobster man turns up to introduce himself as a mechanic and another fellow racer.
His name is Shikai.
Shikai. His assistant also turns up the restaurant,
Trava.
getting his ass kicked by a member of the Robo-World police.
Lil Dazner.
Who is crying.
I'm only reading out the names. I'm only reading out the names of the people who matter.
Okay. Yeah. Robo-World policeman.
No?
What was his name?
Oh yeah, Lil Dazner. Yeah,
Lil Dazner. He is crying because doing so makes him stronger when he fights.
No. It's because Trava and Shikai were in a part of the Robo-World military and they quit so that they could do the Redline. And Lil Dazner is upset because they quit the military and left him behind.
Did you get all of this from the film?
Yeah.
Was that actually said?
Yes.
Because I was trying to work out what the fuck was going on with them.
Yeah.
It was something wrong.
They were like, why were they fighting? And then Shikai, while eating the gross, alive spaghetti, is like, oh, we were in the army with him and he's upset that we left.
He was just over-emotional.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Then a big robot dude who is the current champion of Redline and has a flat head turns up at the restaurant.
His name is Machine Head Tetsujin.
Alright. And then and then the restaurant windows explode and water rushes in, followed by the Robo-World Army police people.
Army police people. Colonel Volton is the one you're looking for.
The big robot dude tells the army dude that this is a demilitarized zone, so fuck off. And then the army dude says, no, you.
Eat my dick.
And then JP steps up and says, no, you. And then JP gets knocked out. And then JP takes the girl racer home and flirts with her. And then Arms mechanic dude argues again that Frisbee is a tool and shouldn't be used in the race.
But we do find out just before JP heads home that Sonoshi is the reason that JP races altogether, because they clearly grew up on the same planet, and he saw her practicing very, very hard to race while he was just bumming around doing nothing, and that was inspiring.
And she doesn't even remember him. Frisbee says, JP, remember you need to stay in last position until the last quarter of the race to drive the odds way up against you, and then you get to first position to drive the odds way down against you, and JP's like, meh, maybe. The bookies are taking bets. JP is 25,000 to 1. Even though he was good enough to qualify for the most dangerous interplanetary race in the world.
He got in on like a caveat, so...
We see girl races perky bare tits and pointy nipples for no reason at all as she watches TV.
And then we get introduced to the Super Boyings, which is Boy Boy and Boss Boss, and they are two girls from the planet Supergrass, and they are also supermodels / pop stars.
And they are there for ecchi only.
And they can, but they have magic.
Then we also meet Lynchman and Johnny
Boy,
who are bounty hunters.
Yeah.
We meet Machine Head Robot Dude again from the restaurant.
And he's got a little Pomeranian little dog.
We meet Gory
Rider.
A dirty cop.
He's kind of like the Beast from X-Men.
Yeah, he's blue.
He's blue, yeah.
Then we meet Mickey and something.
Wait. I have their names. I wrote them all down. Fuck. Did I not write
It's okay. It's appropriate because these guys are characterless little and large duo.
They have one cool scene during the race.
Some disgruntled workers in mech suits from Robo-World break into some police joint and they take out some main power. The president's angry about that, but then his guy tells him, don't worry about it, we still have some secret weapons.
They have a hyper-disintegrator cannon, which is solar-powered satellite that will destroy anything.
Then the bounty hunters, Lynchman and Johnny Cash, break into something to destroy it.
It's the satellite.
Right, for reasons. The girl racer watches...
because they're going to shoot the racers. Those who want to disable it.
Right, gotcha. The girl racer watches a special on JP the night before the race and learns that he is a criminal who's been done for race fixing before. The day of the big race begins and one of the magic girls from Magic World does some magic to mark the finish line.
The princess of Supergrass World?
Of course it is. Then the president dictator is angry.
And yeah, because
every time Joel's speaking, he's raising his finger to the glasses,
to the glasses on his nose.
Yeah.
He doesn't normally wear glasses, but he's put them on.
I had to put them on specifically for this. So they're pretty confident that they're not going to be able to land on the planet because they've got so many anti-planetary or cross-planetary missiles and stuff. But then all of a sudden they start teleporting in out of nowhere using hyperdimensional drive, and my favorite line
That's
in the whole movie.
That's my senzu penis. This line.
The president says, "They're going to violate our airspace with technology that exists only in theory. Those bastards!"
just the nerve of those vermin.
It's so fucking good.
So President Dictator's angry about this, so he arms the disintegrator cannon. The racers get into their vehicles and the cannon warms up, and then the racers arrive at the start line and the cannon is fired, but that's the thing that Lynchman and Johnny Appleseed sabotaged. Bad luck, Cyborg President. The race begins. JP's still 25,000 to 1. The robot cyborg army soldiers plug into their ships, Matrix style or Avatar style, whichever you prefer, and they head out to intercept the racers. People get shot at, they shoot down the missiles that are shooting at them, they shoot back, there's explosions, there's just general action, car chase things.
It's very good. And then Daizuna and his squad, because he's still a part of the army, are chasing down Shikai and Trava, and then they get called to chase somebody else because they're further ahead, and the whole thing is that they're trying to stop them travelling through the secret military bases. This is a lot, I know.
Zone 7X.
Zone 7X. But little Daizuna, he's not going to give up. He's not going to quit because he's going to join the race.
Inspiring story, I'm
sure. I'm pretty sure that he can't join the race.
And he's like, if you disobey my orders, you'll be court-martialed and executed.
He's like, I
have to. So the president can't risk the races getting to Zone 7X because that would wake up Funky Boy, and he's just a baby with lots to learn.
He needs to learn discipline.
Meanwhile, JP uses the first of his 3 nitro tablet things. And Frisbee meets with the mob. He says, don't worry, JP's going to stay in last place, and then he's going to blast the first place, and then he's going to lose the race. Because that'll do something with the bookies.
Presumably you buy when they cost nothing, and then you sell high?
It's bets on a race, not fucking stock markets. This
is space races.
Space race. They are stock markets. Then the pawn girls do they're in a transformer ship and they tickle some cop ships.
It's very cool.
And
basically drive a mech that can turn into a car. It's fantastic.
Mech.
They sit in the boobs of it's a female mech.
Of course it is. Yeah. Then mock-ups are deployed and Gilracer gets shot.
Sorry, no. All cops are deployed.
All cops are deployed.
Because he says, all Robo-World soldiers, get your asses out there and capture them. And somebody asks pretty aptly, when you say all, do you mean some of them? And he's like, did I stutter? I meant all.
So they all go. They all go down to the moon.
Every single soldier on the planet.
And so, of course, Gilracer gets shot. And then the insurgents in the mech suits try and wake up Funky Boy. And then JP stops racing to go and help the helpless Gilracer.
Sonoshi.
And then Funky Boy Godzilla Plasma Breath bioweapon wakes up. And then he's a liability at this stage. He shouldn't be awake yet. So President...
And also, if he stays awake, he'll kill everybody on the whole planet.
So President's like, reluctantly, I'm going to have to disintegrate cannon him. So the disintegrate cannon's back online now, thankfully, and so President kills Funky Boy, and he takes out some racers to boot, and he's like, awesome.
All of them, by the way.
All of them, yeah. Except everyone that's not dead, which is all of them.
Yeah.
JP...
he stops them all for a little bit.
JP and Gilracer have a moment of honesty at an inappropriate time when they're trying to get back in the race. And then Funky Boy regenerates. What? I didn't know he could regenerate.
There's
a bit left of him. And then Army Dude guy sacrifices his body to a tentacled computer lady so that he can become the gross new Funky Boy whale shark crocodile spider octopus who fights the old regenerating Funky Boy light sludge.
Can we take that one more time? That might have been hard to follow.
What was hard to follow about that?
I feel like
it was just as obvious to me as it should be to everyone else who was listening.
Just one more time.
Just Funky Boy regenerates, so the Army Dude sacrifices his body to a tentacled computer lady,
there we go,
so that he can become the gross new Funky Boy whale shark octopus spider crocodile who fights the old regenerating Funky Boy light sludge.
Got it. Yeah. Perfect, thank you. Just needed it a little bit slower.
Frisbee refuses to blow up JP's car, even though the mob's going to kill him, because he wants to see him win for once. And so the mob guys go to kill him.
We also get told that the whole reason that Frisbee gets involved with the mafia is because the first time JP tried to race on Yellow Line, they couldn't afford the engine that they needed to win. So Frisbee made a deal with the Mafia and bet on JP to win. Like that was the kind of like the collateral to get the engine. But JP lost. And so Frisbee has always been in debt because JP didn't win that race like however many years ago.
And then he went to prison for it or something. JP catches up to Robohead, who's in the lead, and so Robohead pops his own 100 times nitro pill that he has. Haha, I don't even need it to win, but I'm going to use it anyway. And he pops it, and then he goes mega awesome superpowered. And so Girl Racer pops her 100 times nitro pill into JP's tank, because she's now in his car as well. And they go super awesome mega. And then the rest of the races all do as well.
No, they're all... They do a thing where... it's like stationary camera, and then all the cars run past them, and there's a few seconds behind. And I think that's important to know that there's a few seconds behind because there is some consistency.
Then the tower, the finish line, which is on top of the tower, the Robo Tower, they can't reach it, so then it collapses, and then they can reach it.
No, it's the spaceship that dropped off all of the races uses its hyperdimensional drive to just exist. It teleports to where the tower currently is, destroying the tower, making a cool ramp to get to the finish line.
Right, of course. And then there's some trash talk happening between Robohead and JP, and then there's some more stuff happens, and then the arms mechanic detonates the car bomb, which gives the car some even more boost, and then some more stuff happens, and then JP and the Girl Racer win, and then the end.
That was fun.
So that was the movie.
That was the movie.
Yeah. It was very movie.
First thoughts, as always.
I think it's clear.
Rob loves it.
Yeah. Consistent.
Robert,
very well written.
Curtis.
First thoughts. I enjoyed it. Yes.
Robert, did you enjoy it?
In a way. in a sense.
I had a blast. It was so good. I don't even know where to start. How about we just start with...
I'll start with Liam O'Brien as Frisbee. What?
Also, Sam
Riegel.
That one? What was his name?
I didn't recognize his voice.
He was like 3 characters.
Wow.
He was Tetsuya, who was... It was Mickey and Tetsuya, I think, are the 2 ones that we skipped the names of. Yeah. They have like a beetle car with 2 wheels, but if they drop the gas pedal and start pedaling it like a bike, the legs of the beetle car start moving and digging.
And it digs.
And
so that was a shortcut somehow because it's faster to go through.
To go underground. Yeah. It was so super cool. Sam, what's his name again?
Riegel.
Sam Riegel.
He's a voice actor.
Yeah. He's in...
Critical Role.
Right.
Gurren Lagann as Viral as well. He was the waiter at Oasis.
Alright.
He's uncredited as that. He's only credited as Tetsuya. And also he was Johnny Boy.
Oh, yeah.
With Lynchman and Johnny Boy. Yeah.
Recognize his voice.
So
Awesome.
we all watched the subbed or dub?
I watched the dub because I tried to find a sub and couldn't.
Yeah. Did I watch?
Did you watch it in English?
I genuinely can't remember.
You must have if you recognise the English
voice.
Oh,
yeah, of course. Because it must have been, Liam O'Brien's English voice.
There were people that we recognised in the movie. That's what that whole thing was. I personally really enjoyed the art style. Mostly singular colours, but with just solid black shadows on absolutely everything. Not, I don't know, shaded or with more colour. Just real hard black outlines on everything.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the art style. I looked into the director.
Yeah.
Who's like the lead animator on it.
Yeah.
I think, and I saw that he was inspired by like Mike Mignola.
Yeah.
Which I've been reading a lot of Hellboy at the moment.
Mike Mignola.
Mike Mignola. He did Hellboy.
Okay.
And he uses real heavy blacks in his art.
Is this animation like Hellboy then? Or?
The comic book.
Yeah, the comic book. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not that I would say the style seems to be like pretty influenced by his stuff.
Right.
It's interesting to see because it doesn't feel like an anime style. It feels like that blend of Western and... On
the topic of style, right towards the very beginning when they're watching the Yellow Line race,
yes,
there's a cutaway to people, just like a random family watching it at home, and there's like a social commentary. Because one of
the
the kid goes, "Yay, unnecessary violence! This is all that I'm interested in." And then the mum goes, "This is all that turns me on anymore."
Yeah.
Like, violence is all that turns me on, or something. And it was a completely different style. It was drawn in a weird, different way. Is that like a thing that they do sometimes, where they just?
Yeah. It was just funny.
Sometimes they'll just get another animator just be like, just do something else.
Maybe it could have been a guest animator or something.
Yeah.
I've seen stuff like that happen before, but I'd forgotten about that actually.
I liked that Frisbee, when he sabotages JP's car, he uses a detonator, but he uses a bomb with a fuse on it.
Yeah.
And so why's he got a detonator, and when does it light the fuse? Does he light the fuse at the beginning of the race, and he has to time it to know exactly how long it's going to take until he gets just to the finish line? And then in that case, why's he got a detonator at all? And in the very last scene when he's like, I'm not going to detonate the thing, why's he got a detonator then? Why did he bring it with him to the mob's house?
No, because he thought he was.
Where he made his mind up
at the mob's house.
Yeah, he changed his mind
right now.
I'm actually a good person.
Well, I'm
redeeming myself.
He's blowing up his friend's car. Why is he doing this?
Because he owes the mob money, and JP he's not going to throw the race.
What was happening with the suitcase full of money in the hospital at the start? What's the deal that he and JP have going on?
So the deal is that JP throws the race,
right,
and they get money from the mob for fixing the race.
Yeah. I think JP was doing it on purpose, wasn't he?
Throwing the race.
Yeah.
Initially,
like he was. It was like a team thing. Was that not mentioned or something?
It is supposed to be a team thing, but I think that JP genuinely doesn't want to lose, which is the whole reason that there's a bomb in his car. If he was in on the VIG,
You're right. Yeah,
he would accept the money. He's angry that he had to lose the race at all.
Right.
And why does he not check his car for bombs by now? Like he's been in cahoots with Frisbee for a long time and knows how this works.
My car keeps exploding.
He's exploding right in the end of the.
He obviously knows that Frisbee makes his car blow up. I think that's obvious.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, as Frisbee likes to say, he is a very, very good mechanic. And a whole part of Sweet JP's character is that if he's not in a car, he's basically apathetic to almost everything. I don't know if you guys noticed this.
Right. Yeah.
He's really he's like slow moving, slow talking, very chill, lights a cigarette. But as soon as he's driving literally anything, he becomes super happy, animated, just yelling and screaming, having the time of his life. But so he just doesn't. As long as he gets to go fast, like Sonic the Hedgehog, his favorite friend.
Yeah.
He doesn't care, even if he doesn't really win the race. Although that's still obviously upsetting.
So all he wants to do is drive, and
Frisbee
he can't really figure out the solution around Frisbee. It's just like, I want to drive, and he's my mechanic, and and I'm the reason that he is in trouble with the mafia, right?
Because I lost Yellow Line, so now Frisbee's life is in danger. So I can't just tell him to go fuck himself. It's my fault.
But I won't stop.
So then,
I don't trust myself, Frisbee.
So then, why does he refuse the money at the beginning?
Because he's annoyed that he had to throw the race. He's still annoyed by it.
So he's like, I don't want your money.
Yeah, I'll just go back to jail.
Rigging monkey money. And then I like that, his odds are 25,000 to 1, even though the night before the race, there is a global announcement, like an hour-long presentation all about
how
him
he fixes the race.
As a guy who fixes races.
That was funny.
But that's probably why it was so low. Because they know that he's going to lose.
But
Right.
it's like
he fixes the races to lose. You can't fix them to win.
But he fixes it so that I don't even
So
understand what's going on.
Really,
he starts
really
off
missed
losing.
an opportunity there, because he's like, this time we're going to win.
Yeah.
And,
He could have won and made a
25,000 times, whatever.
Yeah, stupid.
I don't understand. So he starts off 25,000 to 1, and then he races to the front and he becomes the odds to win.
Because he does it right at the end.
And so people who are like betting on the race right at the last minute go, he's definitely going to win. Bam. And then they only win money on that.
I don't know how gambling works.
Because the mob isn't making any money on the initial bets of the 25,000 to 1 if he loses.
I don't know how gambling works. I understand the principle of
I don't
what's
think
trying
the
to happen.
writers knew how gambling works either.
I don't think it's space gambling.
Space gambling.
Which
I
I think that's what we should talk about next is, the art direction of the whole thing. So not the style of the presentation, but a planet being called Robo World, another planet being called Super Grass World. All of the character design, literally every character that has a line in this is memorable to an extent. You know, they have thought gone into the way that they look. Even the two mobsters that come in and try and take the detonator off of JP when he is like, I'm not gonna blow up my friend's car. Like, one guy comes in and he's got a weird goatee and a really big bow tie, and the other guy looks like an old-time cowboy.
Yeah. The salesman who sells him cigarettes
is
real terrified of him, and then just the weird interaction that I've forgotten the JP's character has with him as he like reaches in and tries to grab it, and the guy, I can't even remember, but it was a totally different character.
Yeah, just every single character that even has like 2 seconds of screen time has a lot of thought gone into it.
Yeah.
Even
so like real good world building. Like
even in everybody's animation, there's just so much love. Like there's a part where even though Supergrass World doesn't win, the princess is super happy that like it was such an exciting race. She's cheering in a little tiny seat, and she like throws her head back and she's cheering, and her crown falls off, and one of her servants like catches the crown before it falls off and puts it back on her head.
Right.
So there's loads of little tiny details for the way that characters move, which are just fucking awesome.
Which is really different for anime.
Yeah. Well, do you know how long this movie took to make?
I do research.
Yeah. 7 years in production.
Yeah.
Not even in pre-production and post, like 100,000 individual drawings, all hand drawn.
Yeah.
Is this like indie, nobody knows about it, or is it like everybody knows about it and everybody's seen it? Where on that scale
Peek
is it?
behind the curtain. I think it's kicked off in popularity recently because Super Eye Patch Wolf, who is an anime YouTuber, in case you don't know, he did a Why You Should Watch Redline, which made me interested. But it was a commercial failure in 2009. It didn't even make top 50 in its opening week. And it's essentially, if you like animation, you're bound to have, like, if you appreciate the animation and the kind of artsmanship that's gone into it, you'll know about it. But it's just not that popular. And I don't know why. It's such it is a very good action movie. Yeah. Would you agree? Like you said, you don't think so?
No, it's appalling. It's abysmal. It's an action movie. The only thing that I can say that is good about this film is the animation. As you were saying, like I fully agree with what you were saying about the love that has gone into the animation. Yeah. All the characters are very well like drawn and very well thought out. They've got over the top hairstyles and all this sort of stuff. But as an action movie, as like a story, it's horrible. As like characters, they've shoehorned in stories here, there, and everywhere that don't go anywhere. It's like it's appalling. Like it doesn't make any sense. There's like
I could follow it, except for the how did you put it, the new Funky Boy whale spider. That one I couldn't follow. I think he just wanted to have a kaiju battle in his movie and couldn't figure out how to make that work.
It's not good. There's like a love scene.
That was my least favorite. Was the love
arc, if you want to call it that. Shoehorned in. There's
between JP and Sonoshi.
Yeah.
You really got to see it blossom.
Oh wait, no, you didn't. You got to see her tits though.
That was also not. That was weird.
she's just eating. What is it? Cherries or something? She's eating on the.
She's just watching TV and
in the nude.
She's topless. Yeah.
It seemed out of place, but it's almost like you're saying, like every character sort of seemed real, like, and they had personalities, and
they all had secondary jobs except for Machine Head, which I think is fascinating because usually if like you're gonna pick Formula 1 racing as your profession, that's your profession,
right? Yeah.
But apart from Machine Head, who has won for the past 20 years, we have Gory Rider, who was a cop who constantly beats the shit out of people, and he was chasing Mickey and Tetsuya. So Mickey and Tetsuya also only got in on the caveat that because somebody else dropped out of Redline, and their whole video was them talking about how they're criminals and they make a race course out of anything. They interrupt existing races and just enter themselves, which I don't think that's how races work. But their whole thing is that it's like a rivalry match between the cop who arrested them and stopped them from being able to try and qualify for Redline and them, and the cop just wants to arrest them.
Right.
His whole thing is that which seems like he could arrest them before maybe the race starts and there's like an entire army there.
He lives for the pursuit, though.
That reminds me of when you were telling us about Lupin the Third, and how there's just like because there's a race in the first episode of that. It's about Formula One and whatever.
Yeah,
and Lupin's like the criminal that's on the run from the cop who happens to just be in the Formula One race to try and catch him.
That's right.
Why are you in the race? You wait for the race to be over,
but there's that whole like small story that's going on. I know that none of the stories
also having an affair, apparently. Maybe.
Well, with his lieutenant.
This is what I'm talking about. That's one character out of about 20 different characters, and they've tried to give him like a 3-dimensional thing with this affair story that's going on.
He clearly loved her though. When he gets into his car, he kisses the photo of her before he starts driving.
Cut the fucking thing out. Cut out and give someone else some screen time to flesh out one of the 20 different stories that you've got going on in the background. Or just put another fucking woman in for a start. Like this is the worst film for like feminism and any sort of representation of women. It's terrible. There's only 3 women in it. One of them's a perpetual damsel who's just useless. There's and then the other 2 are pawn stars who just like
they're idols and they're also magic elves. And they have a princess, and she's the one who controlled the scout ships to put paint down the line.
Well, it definitely doesn't pass the Bechdel test, that's for sure.
What? Who's the main girl character?
No, they do. They talk about...
Yes, it does not.
Talking about 2 female characters talking to each other about a non-male character.
They do not talk to each other.
They do. The princess talks to her female maids, because I think it seems to be that everybody from Super Grass World is female, but she talks about how she really thinks that they're going to win, and they congratulate her.
The maids don't have names; they are not named characters.
Named characters. Boy and
they don't talk to each other.
They do.
I kept an eye out for it. They do not, because Boy 1, slut 1 says, "I'm a sexy slut," and then the other one goes, "Well, I'm not sure about sexy."
No, they talk to each other during the race. During the race, they do talk to each other.
I remember hearing about what's the girl test? Can you explain that?
Bechdel test.
The Bechdel test. Bechdel test. Yeah, it's basically if a movie has two named female characters who talk to each other about something that's not a man.
Right. Yeah.
and
it didn't pass that.
It is unbelievable how many films fail that test.
Yeah, no,
and it is the simplest thing to
before.
Just have 2 females in your film that don't talk about a dude.
Like, do you think he likes me?
They can they can even talk about other stereotypical girl shit. They can talk about shopping or girls, other things, or like just gossiping about other girls. They can do anything that's still horrible for female representation, but that would still pass, and it's still amazing how many films fail.
Yeah.
I want to point out that Boy and Boss are self-employed. And I'm still pretty sure that they talk to each other.
Fair enough.
I really like that you've taken so much from the film, like in terms of all the characters and stuff.
I absorbed it all. I think that Lynchman and Johnny Boy are the 2 least developed, because it's just they're bounty hunters.
Yeah.
And that's all we know about them.
Yeah.
We don't even know who they bounty hunt. Except, we see a clip of them hunting a guy with the trench coat, and then he rips the trench coat off and he's a robot. But everybody else, we have insight into the kind of life that they lead outside of, and like the kind of relationships that they have.
I hate poorly done exposition, and I liked certain exposition in this, like when it's a commentator commentating on a race about, and then we've got so and so here, he's from planet whatever, because that is normal exposition in everyday life. But then at one point there's a power outage, and the president's like, "Oh God, what are we gonna do?" And then his advisor's like, "Don't worry, Mr. President, we have a secret weapon." He's the fucking president. He should know every bit about his secret weapons that he has.
I don't have a problem with that part of the movie.
Little things like that.
I do think that the movie isn't a masterpiece, but
it's obviously designed to not be like, "Hey, this is gonna win Oscars."
not necessarily for like the writing of the narrative, because there are so many stories going on. But I personally really enjoyed all of the crisscrossing interpersonal stories, and I know that none of them really got seen to fruition, and I know that there's a lackluster shoehorned in love story, but I really liked Little Days in his story, even though I don't know why he decided to join the race. I really enjoyed the Gory Rider and the guys that he was trying to chase. I appreciate the scope that this movie had. Because also, the whole thing is that at the beginning of the movie, Robo-World president is like, we're a peace-loving planet, I promise. We just don't want a very violent race here. And then, as the story progresses, we find out that Robo-World have been working on bioweapons, and the reason that they don't want the race on their homeworld is because you'll see all of their secret military bases. And they bring that up. They say 82% of all satellites in the known galaxy are streaming this this race, which means that everybody's going to see all of our secret military bases. So there's that, I don't know, macro story outside of the race that's happening.
I would have liked it more if they'd have if they'd have looked at their big pinboard of all of the characters and gone, all right, let's get rid of this one, this one, this one, and this one.
No.
Replace them with semi-two-dimensional characters that are introduced and then killed off in the race to tell us how dangerous these races can be.
I do wish that somebody had died.
And in that time that they've saved, they flesh out the other stories and make a little more of that. And get rid of the Funky Boy plotline, because what the fuck was Funky Boy and what purpose did he serve in any way?
Because they had secret military space weapons.
Yeah, which was disintegrated. They had to disintegrate Ray, bam, and then it was destroyed by the Lynchman and Johnny Boy. But it didn't need to come back, is my point. They already took out that as a plotline. You don't need to bring that back. And if you don't bring that back, you don't need the Funky Boy story.
You also pointed out that it's like, and it just ends.
Yeah, literally at the end, like the finish line. So, everybody goes, "Yay! Johnny and what's her face win." JP and what's her face win. And nobody questions why she's allowed to win with him, even though she's a different race. Whatever. And then it just wins, and then it ends, and the credits roll.
All those worries and setups about Robo World,
nothing happens afterwards.
Robo World's just nothing happened.
Yeah,
it's all good. Just a race.
Well, 2 quick notes on that. Yeah. All of the soldiers are chasing them, and then they all pop their super ultra platinum nitro plus, and they all take off, and then the soldiers just stop it. Fuck this. Too fast.
They do literally say fuck this.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that the finish line is in the building that the president is in, and then the ship spawns in the space that the building should exist. So the president is probably dead. So that's that one resolved. And what were you saying?
People love it.
The people fucking love it.
The dog people.
What the fuck was the other point that you guys were making? We don't get to find out, they just get to win because you have racing teams, so just they joined the team during
through the race.
But nobody's upset that they lost. Even Machine Head, who's won for the past 20 years and mechanically augmented his body to the point of just non-humanity. Is just that was an interesting race. Everybody's just so chuffed that it was such an amazing race. And that's good sportsmanship, boys and girls.
I felt like I played a lot of Mario Kart 64 growing up, and it always pissed me off that I don't know why, but the boosts never seemed to do anything, because you'd go bam, 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 and you'd boost all the way, and then the guy who was right behind you right before you boost is still right behind you. And it felt like that towards the end, where he puts his 100 times nitro thing, which should explode his engine and doesn't. And then every other racer just pops theirs. Everybody just has one of these 100 times nitro things. Yeah. And if everybody has one, no one has one.
Right.
I don't think that they all had one. They still were second.
They all just kept up. They just kept up with them.
They didn't keep up quite
as
much. Yeah.
Only 99 times nitro they kept up, not
100. So when I watched it, like I was saying before, I'm amazed how much you took from it, and I was surprised that Rob, you were able to put so much detail into explaining what happened. For me, it was just. A blur, but a good blur.
We should have got you to do the commentary for this one. Do the synopsis for us, please.
No, I'm not going to try. But yeah, so for me, when watching it, I didn't get really anything from the story or anything really from the characters. For me, I was able to just sort of switch off and enjoy the animation and enjoy. For me, there was so much movement.
Yeah.
And you could really feel that. And you mentioned earlier about Mario Kart. I couldn't help watch it and feel like this would be a really cool video game. Yeah, so that's what I kind of got from it. I just had to switch my brain off.
You should play F-Zero X if you haven't. It's a spacecrafty race thing where you can smash into each other's and stuff.
Right, yeah, no, I've never played that.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, so I enjoyed it, but yeah, for reasons.
Senzu beans?
Yes, we'll do Senzu beans. I was just going to say, to Curtis's credit, the pacing of this movie is like breakneck 100% of the time.
Yeah.
They have about 3 moments where they slow it down for about 2 minutes, and then just straight back into developing the 29 characters that they have.
I don't think you would see many movies like this. The animation style and technique is so different, and it's so unique. It's so that one director's point of view. He's done earlier stuff on Animatrix, and he did the opening, some of the opening credit animation for Samurai Champloo.
Yeah.
And I used to watch that a lot, and like
Samurai Champloo.
Not Samurai Champloo. I used to watch just the intro.
Oh right.
Because I really liked that animation. I thought it was amazing, and then watching this, I
put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, I saw that all. So I think that's a really cool thing to see. Is just this one animator's crazy imagination just. And then
it never happened again.
Yeah, no.
That's the takeaway from this, is that because it was such a commercial failure that no director has been given the same level of autonomy ever again.
Yeah.
But I would say that that's a good thing, because the other time that happened, where a Japanese company gave a Japanese creative just free reign to do whatever, we had Final Fantasy 15, which took more than 10 years to develop.
Yeah.
And went through like
I think that's because
3 different production cycles.
I couldn't say specifically why, but I feel like artists or animators can be real perfectionists and almost not like their own stuff to a point of like self-destruction. If you don't have someone putting like deadlines on you, you could rework it forever.
There's a story about the development of Final Fantasy 15 where the director, who by the end of it was fired, he stepped down. He apparently, like 6 years into development, came in after seeing Les Mis and was like, "We're making it a musical, guys." Like actually came in and was like, "We're going to rewrite the whole script of the musical," and they were like, "We can't. We can't do this again."
I feel like it's 6 years you've completely changed as an artist, and you're influenced by so many different things that you would look at the stuff you did in the first year and go, "We scrap it all. That's not me. That's not who
But
I
in
am."
saying that, the first, I don't know how they put together this movie, but that first race that really kicks the movie off is just awesome.
Yeah.
Anyways, Senzu beans, favorite bits. Go for it.
I can't think. I'll have to think.
My favourite bit you took earlier, so I'll take a different one. I really liked the life flashing before his eyes that happens twice in the movie when JP thinks he's right about to die. And it is like flashing, literally flashing. Normally with any sort of those scenes where, you see some flashbacks of their childhood and stuff, you get to see a little bit much, in my opinion, of it's not really like life flashing. But with this one, it is like just a couple of frames of each thing of him meeting Frisbee and him doing other races and meeting Girl Racer, whatever her name is, and all this other stuff.
His four-armed mechanic.
Meeting his four-armed
getting
mechanic.
Into a fight with Frisbee.
Fighting with stuff and meeting the mob, going to jail, all this other stuff. It flashes by in like a couple of seconds, and I thought that was really cool, really well animated.
Yeah. My favourite line in the movie, which was Robert's favourite bit, happened. I have a couple of favourite bits. I liked the princess's crown, I've already mentioned, it falling off, just because I think that's a good example of like the level of detail. It's something that's so minor that normally they would just fix it to the head as she rocked back, but...
I feel like it's almost like that. It is an animator's film. Yeah. And like... who knows what was written down on like the screenplay, it's just like and there's a princess in the scene, go nuts. Crazy.
Oh man. Yeah. So that's just fucking cool. I really liked, I'm going to do two bits. I really liked the fight scene between Lil Daisina and Trava as they come in fighting through the aquatic restaurant. It's just a really impactful fight scene. It wasn't like a martial arts fight. It was a brawl. These guys just hitting each other, and you could really feel the impact. And when Colonel Volton comes in and just punches Daisina in the teeth, and he's got all his teeth stuck in his knuckle and pulling all the teeth out. Fucking so good. And I like when what's his name again? The bounty hunter. Fuck.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Lynchman. When Lynchman shoots a grappling hook onto JP's car, and just as he hits the nitro, and it just rips the shelling off of his car entirely, just leaves the skeleton.
Right.
I don't know. I just thought that was stupid and funny.
Yeah. I can't remember specific moments, but I remember for me, my
Sensu bean.
My sensu bean is just the detail, and that it was all hand drawn. They didn't use CGI for God knows why. I don't know if you guys
for
have
principle.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have like drawn cars and geometric drawings, but
takes fucking ages.
And then try animating that shit,
and all the weird like depth of field changing that happens.
So that was the one shot I can remember. Is that sort of like the camera starts on sort of the front of the car. My car knowledge.
the bow. I think
the bow of the car.
And it zooms past, and the car just
stretches
out, and it pans along, and it zooms right into his face, and the perspective is intense, and it's changing, and
it's like you're looking through a fisheye lens or something, or like the peephole in a hotel door or something.
But it's also just changing as it's moving.
It's so technical, and the fact that it exists is weird.
It's crazy.
I have one more bit. There's a part where there are bookies taking bets on Robo World where the race is banned, and a police robot, I guess, comes in and just says like, "This is a disorderly presence of people. Disperse!" and then just immediately fires a laser into the crowd and just blows them up. Oh man, I just got a kick out of it. She gives them like 10 seconds to comply.
Yeah,
and then just continues to ask them to disperse as she's shooting. Fuck.
Would you recommend the movie?
Absolutely. I not for the story though. I do think that the story is lacking, but I would recommend it based on its animation and the scope of what it tries to fit in. I think it's respectable. I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Right.
I read that the director and writer wanted to make an anime for not anime fans.
Right.
And I would agree with that. I think that I was watching it with my girlfriend, and she was enjoying it. Just for that madness factor. Yeah.
I would recommend it to certain people. I know people who would like it, and I would recommend it to like Michael Bay fans, for instance. Yeah. I'd recommend it to them.
Might be too much going on for them.
Overall, I would give it a 4 out of 10.
A negative review.
Yeah. It wasn't great. I prefer story. I prefer my action films to be consistent with their story.
What would you rate it if you had to rate it?
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Not even like a negative 4. No, that's worse.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not bad enough that it's in the negatives. Oh wait, no, is it? Maybe it is.
Yeah, is it not like a negative 6 or like a negative 7? Like it's.
Yeah, I suppose it is actually. Yeah, I'd say it's more like a negative 5. Negative 5. I'm gonna go with that.
Just in case anybody who's now listening doesn't know, our scale is 10 being a goddamn masterpiece, 0 being like you wouldn't even mention it. It's not worth wasting your breath on it. Negative 10 being like you watch it because it's so bad that it's good. The Room level masterpiece.
Yeah. The Room is a negative 10.
The Room being a negative 10.
Yeah.
Well, shit. I had a good time with that, but I think it's time that we move into a Weeb in review. A Weeb in review is the segment where we just take our socks off and we...
Do we?
I'm not wearing socks. I'm taking mine off. And we just talk about anything else Weeb or anime related that we did in the week. Robert has been very busy boy with his exam.
I have finished with that now, though. Finished my last exam a couple of days ago, and now I will have some more time to watch some stuff.
Catch up.
Yeah.
Hopefully watch some stuff that you would actually want to watch.
Yeah.
Maybe not, I don't know,
we won't need to,
Naruto or...
we won't need to... Yeah, I'm going to watch some more Naruto.
Going to watch Boruto instead, right?
What?
His son?
Boruto. What? Does he have a son?
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it right now.
What? Anyway, next week we won't need to rely on Joel being our Weeb in a windmill. That's what we're getting
that's
to.
Me. That's what I was about to say. Me, as always, your Weeb in a windmill. Of course, I've done things to talk about. So I wanted to talk about, first off, the night is short. Walk On Girl. A little peek behind the curtain again. We were supposed to watch this movie instead of Redline, but I think that Robert would have hated it more than Redline. Luckily, I watched it on the night that we said we would watch it, and then sent a message out being like, "Don't watch it, Robert. I think we should watch Redline instead."
He's looking out for me, my senpai.
Yeah. Did you end up checking it out at all, Curtis?
No, but I think I will.
Yeah. So The Night is Short, Walk On Girl is a strange one. I didn't realize that it was a almost direct but still spiritual sequel to Tatami Galaxy. It's got a lot of the same characters, although you don't have to have seen Tatami Galaxy to appreciate it. It is 3 short stories about a girl who goes out on her first night drinking, and she's 18, I guess. She's in university. And it is her meeting people in the night as she travels. The first story is it starts at a wedding, and then she goes to an old 60-year-old or retiree's birthday party, and then a club function, and it's just kind of a little bit of a look at how different the different ages act and behave when they drink. If that makes sense. The old people are all commiserating because they're all so fucking old, right, and they're miserable. And then the club that they go to, or not, it's not a club, it's they're a club for people who just like to argue. It's just an argument club. I can't remember the word that they use for it. And they just
not
argue.
Not like a debate club.
No, they just argue non-points.
Oh.
One guy walks up to her and is like, "Do you think that you should marry somebody that you love?" And she's like, He's like, "Of course you shouldn't. Stupid. If you marry somebody that you love and then they hurt you later, you'll be ruined. You should marry somebody that you don't love, because then it's a purely logical, rational decision." "Oh, I miss you." Crying. And the party is to send him off. But they're all engaging in, I would call, drinking rituals, drinking games and stuff. The drinking games that they're engaging in are hyped up versions of things that real people would actually do, because they're bending in half and clapping and going war, war. And then the old man's party that was there come and see them doing it, and they're like, "Oh, I remember I used to do that when I was 20. Let me show you how it's done." And then they doing that as well. Yeah. But it's it's this 18-year-old who's never had a drink in her life, coming to understand how social hierarchies change when you drink, I guess,
Right.
And then it ends with a drinking competition with her and essentially a mythical guy who goes around stealing pants from people, from drunkards. Another side character who is her senpai. His tactic to get her to fall in love with him is the always see tactic. I'm paraphrasing it. I can't actually remember what it's called, but his concept is that if she sees me everywhere she goes, and I keep just saying it's a coincidence, eventually she'll have to think that it's the threads of fate and fall in love with me.
That's really funny.
And everybody's like, "It's a stupid plan." Yeah. And so it's the macro story is their paths crossing in the night as he tries to find his pants because his pants get stolen, and then finds out that she's going to a book fair, and the second story is a book fair.
So wait. So it's a movie.
Well, there's 4 stories. I said 3. There's 4 stories.
So it's a movie.
Yeah.
And but it's made up of 4
acts,
completely distinct acts.
Yes. Same characters though, and all on the same night.
Right. On the same night, but they don't reference anything that happened in the first story.
No, they do.
Right.
So it's just 4 different times.
Yeah. It's just later. So she finishes partying with all these people.
Yeah.
And then, as they're "Let's go to a different bar, yeah!" And they all start traveling. And then, as she's leaving, she sees a flyer for a book fair. And then she thinks about this book that she had when she was a kid that she hasn't seen in 10 years. And she's like, "Oh my god, maybe I'll go find a secondhand version of that book."
Right.
And so she just because the book was about a train, and then she just marches off to the book fair.
Okay, yeah.
And then so there's the book fair, and then there's a cultural festival at the university, and the cultural leader, who is also the school librarian, is like trying to make everything very organized, and this is where your stand is. But there's a guerrilla musical going on where they will find a kiosk that people aren't really interested in, take all the parts for it, and make a musical set out of it. And then the musical will do like a single scene, and then the cultural department will catch up with them to try and dismantle the musical. But they've already left and moved on to their next scene.
So it's like 4 short stories that are sort of sewn together.
Yeah.
Rather than 4 short films
yes.
that are put together.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So that's the basic premise, and then the last bit ends the movie with everybody gets sick, not through the girl, but through like one character is sick, and then that spreads to everybody else.
Right.
And the girl is the only person who doesn't get sick, and she goes around giving everybody soup, and it ends with her meeting up with her senpai. And this is where I was skeptical that Robert would like it, because as the night goes on, it becomes stranger and stranger because people are getting more and more drunk, and the end is like this guy is sick and drunk, and the way that it's visualized is he finds out that she's coming over to bring him soup, and he kind of recedes into his mind, and the way that he visualizes his mind is kind of like a UN meeting, but with a spokesperson at the front, and they're all arguing over what they should do. They're like, we should just close ourselves off, lock the door.
Right.
But meanwhile, his dick, which is personified as a cowboy, is like, let me in. But once it starts doing this scene of him trying to like talk with himself about what he's going to do when she gets there, it doesn't ever come out of that, even when she gets there.
Oh, right.
And so she's marching through all of these like versions of themselves as they're trying to stop her from getting in, and it's an impressive achievement of animation because it's just like things are stretching and elongating, and his inner monologue is like trying to push him off a cliff so that he doesn't have to deal with her, and I guess that's like, I don't know, recede within himself.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to deal with it.
So when she's talking to him, that's just purely being represented in his mind.
Yeah, as how he sees it in his mind,
and
because
so
he's like
almost like he's so conflicted as to what to do that he's probably like being all these different
he's like
at once.
When she comes in, he's like, no, I don't need you to come in, and so she just barges in with soup, and then she gives him soup, and he cheers up, and then he becomes a little bit horny, and then she punches him in the face, and then it's like going through all these motions. It is really cool. It's just that coming out of Utena, which had a not a good literal story, but a good thematic analogous story, this was something similar, and I thought that Robert just needed a little bit of a breather. Although Redline turned out to not be as good as that.
No, it was
Too
fine.
much of a breather.
No, it was fine, because I could take notes on this going,
I know what's happening.
Yeah, I know what's happening. I don't need to pause this too often.
So I did enjoy it. I did think that there were some parts that were I didn't quite know what to take from them, but it was a fun watch. The one weird issue that I do have with it is, so there's the subplot with the guy who's writing the musical. He's writing it for the entire night up until the musical starts airing or happening. I don't know. His whole reason that he's writing a musical is because last year he, at the cultural festival, he was sitting down minding his own business, and a girl sat across from him, and their eyes met, and he didn't know what to say to her, and then these apples fall on their head, and it gives them something to kind of laugh about together, like, oh, where'd those fucking apples come from? But then they go on their ways, and he didn't have the courage to ask for her number. And he's like, I have no idea who she was. I haven't seen her since. So I'm going to write a musical which will get enough attention about what happened, and then hopefully she'll come out of the crowd. And he's a hopeless romantic. He hasn't changed his underwear since it happened, which everybody constantly comments on being super gross. But he's like, once it changes, once I meet her again, I can change my underwear. So the cultural club are chasing him down, trying to destroy his play. The guy who's running it finds out what the play is about and is like, okay, I have a second plan, don't worry about it, runs away. And then the final scene of the play happens where he comes out, the guy who's been writing the musical, and he's like, it's me, I'm the person from the musical the whole time, and now I've met you, you're here somewhere in the crowd, I assume. And then the girl is there. And he's like, yes, I love you. And then they go to kiss.
Charlie Day.
Yeah. I was super stoked that it was a musical. I was loving it. But then the girl takes her wig off, and it's the leader of the cultural festival. And it has been revealed. It's been talked about throughout the movie that he's a cross-dresser.
Okay.
And he's like, it was me. And they're friends as well. And he's like, oh fuck. And he's like, yeah, no, it was me the whole time. I thought that you knew that it was me. And he's really disappointed because he was in love with this girl, and the whole crowd is like, oh fuck. And then he stands up and he's like, no, I fell in love with your face. I fell in love with you. You're the person who I wrote all these songs about. And then he starts the musical back up, and the guy puts his wig back on. And I was like, yes, getting so excited because he committed to the bit. And then they go to kiss, but neither of them actually want to kiss. The guy who wrote the musical is just too embarrassed because he's put too much effort into the musical. And then fish fall from the sky. There's a reason that they fall from the sky. And a fish lands on the musical guy's head and on the person's head who was helping him put the musical together. And then he's like, oh, now I'm in love with you because the similar thing happened. And I just wish that he had doubled down and he'd just been a gay guy. That would have been my favorite thing ever. Yeah. Not because he's gay, but just because he fell in love with somebody. That's the stupidest thing, right? To fall in love with somebody
because of their face.
Because of their face, and because apples fell on your head.
Right.
And if he was actually as romantic as he claims to be, he should have just doubled down and just like boned his friend a little bit, just like
just a little bit of
just fun. Like, and they both seemed into it. I don't know.
Was it kind of not showing that. Maybe that is a stupid reason to fall in love with someone.
It was, but I wish that they had just committed to the bit, because as soon as the fish fell from the sky, he just like, oh, now I'm in love with somebody else because something else fell from the sky and hit me on the head. And it is still like, this is stupid, but I just wish that he was just like a gay for his mate, just like a little bit of gay for his mate would have been cool.
Right.
It's a very weird movie, but I had a good time with it. So yeah, that's another one by Misaki Yuasa, who is Devilman Crybaby and Tatami Galaxy and a bunch of other stuff.
I really like his aesthetics.
Yeah, it's very much a his movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it helps sort of transport you to those times, maybe when, I don't know, you're a teenager or something and you're sort of going through infatuations and things like that? It's got like a psychedelic vibe almost to them.
Yeah.
And
I would say that, yeah. So like, not that I ever was like, oh, I'm gonna just be everywhere that this girl is, but like the overthinking I could relate to, you know, which is a reduction of what her senpai is actually doing. But, you know, like, oh, you know, if I just do this and then this, then they'll realize that I'm like a cool guy and maybe we could hit it off. I could relate to that kind of stuff, and also just other little things that happened with people just trying to figure out like what the fuck they're doing with their high school life, and everybody's trying to tell this girl what to do, like how she should be drinking, and all this other stuff, and she's charging into it all like head first, and at the end of it she's tried a bunch of stuff but kind of come to her own understanding of how she should behave and what she should be doing with her life, maybe not drinking as much and stuff like that. No, I think Tatami Galaxy is a better movie. Not a better movie. I think Tatami Galaxy does a better job of it. It's not as hard to follow, and it has a very clear, like, it has a more clear plot of what's happening and a more clear takeaway as to like, don't waste your youth. But it's based on a short story, and I think that this was just Misaki Uasa's passion project. He was like, I want to make this fucking weird and put musicals in it and do a hot bowl eating contest where their lips get super big and
the night is long and full of monsters or something.
The night is short, walk on girl. That was a bit of a ramble, but if it sounds interesting, I would recommend that you buy the Blu-ray or buy the Blu-ray, because what else would you do?
No, of course. The only way to find it, right?
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to talk about really quickly was I'd mentioned in a Halloween episode that I'd started reading the Promised Neverland. So I hope that you'll indulge me while I talk about it just for a little bit. So just in case you don't know, it's like orphanage full of kids. They find out that they're being raised to be eaten. And the first arc is them trying to get enough information so that they can escape while not getting caught by the adult that is looking after them. and knows that they know something is up. It's very good. It's very well written for the first arc.
Oh, really?
I don't think I'm up to date anymore because I haven't been reading for a couple weeks, but I've read 107 chapters, and the writing in that first arc is so tight. Everything feels earned, and the stakes are at a consistent level that you can understand, and everybody acts appropriately. Do you know what I mean? Nobody fucks around. Everybody is like, we need to keep this on lock because this is a bad situation.
They don't just ignore the tension that they've built up.
No, it's insane. And you never have a moment like how you mentioned with in Redline with Sonohi and JP where like they're in the middle of the race, but they just stop and have a chat. Yeah. None of that ever happens, and it is it's just an insanely satisfying read without spoiling it.
Yeah.
Some of the kids escape the orphanage, and as soon as some of them escape, the quality of writing takes a decline and keeps declining and declining.
Right.
And I feel as though the mangaka writing it, whose name I've forgotten, typical, just it turns into an adventure story rather than, I guess, like a horror-based escape story.
Yeah.
And they just aren't as good as writing an adventure story. And it starts to do things that are just bad storytelling, like the characters find out a new piece of information about the world, but they don't tell you for like 5 chapters for no reason. And the kids are all, they start acting on the knowledge that they now have, but we don't have.
Right.
And there's no
the reverse of dramatic irony, where the audience knows something the characters don't.
Exactly. Like they do this thing with, they open up a computer and then they're like, oh, but that means no, we have to keep moving, and oh no, we have to do this now. And it's like, well, I mean, just tell me now. And it's not fun to not know and to have people acting without you knowing. And I am not sure whether it's like the dude knew he needed to, the author knew that he needed to, provide some information but needed to buy more time. Or what, but it's really dissatisfying. The other thing is that, so this is not really a spoiler because it's first chapter stuff, but there are monsters running the world. They call them demons, but they are like all kinds of hideous shapes, very creepy looking, but they're running the world. And there is in the second arc or third arc, I guess, where they meet up with a bunch of other kids. I'm trying to go as spoiler free as possible, but this is important. They meet up with a bunch of other kids, and they're like, "Oh, these monsters are hunting us. They come every few days, but we don't know what to do. We've been preparing for a couple years now, trying to keep as many people alive as possible, but we're in a bad situation." Long story short, the main characters are valuable because they're very, very intelligent, which means their brains are just, so yummy. The monsters find out that they're in there and are like, we're not going to wait 2 days, we're going to go the very next day. So, the day before, they're all planning about how they're going to kill them and help all these other kids get out of this bad situation. And then, boom, don't have as much prep time as they thought they did, monsters show up. So you're like, right, people are going to fucking die because you guys have hyped these monsters up so much, they're going to die. Long story short, even though the plan that they had doesn't go off without a hitch, 3 fucking things happen that should have just totally botched everything. Like, there's one part where it's already bad, somebody's been critically wounded and the plan is not going right, so the girl darts down an alleyway and the monster is chasing her. And she's shooting behind her and he's dodging the bullets because of course he can, which is fine. No problem with him dodging bullets. But then he gets electrocuted because that was the plan B. They're like, we're going to zap him. And then it does nothing. And he doesn't capitalize on their surprise.
Right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that happens like 4 times in the same fight where they're like, we did it. Oh no, fuck, we didn't. But nobody dies. Nobody dies in that whole fight. 3 people are critically wounded, but nobody dies. Which, could be fine. It's a kid's book. But you have before the main character got there, 4 people just died. And although the main character is very smart, the plan didn't go off without a hitch. Oh, but 3 people got critically wounded. They should have been eaten.
Is there a chance, do you think, that there will be a reveal where they are deliberately keeping them alive, making them feel like they're in danger?
No, definitely not, because the next encounter that they have is with humans that are on the monster's side, and they're SWAT trained, and they kill 3 people, just like bang, bang, bang with guns.
Okay. Right.
And the whole, premise of the story is that demons are terrifying because they're so much stronger than humans. Because they regenerate. You cut their legs off and their legs grow back, and there's only one very small weak point that you have to get to kill them.
Is it the nape of the neck?
No, it's like I don't want to spoil what it is. But so you have this huge encounter with this big bad guy that you've been building up for chapters and chapters, and you can't kill a single fucking person. You have a SWAT team who gets introduced in a chapter, and they manage to kill a bunch of kids, and it's just it doesn't feel earned or consistent.
Is it like the mangaka expected to end it after the first one, do you think? And he was like, as soon as they escape, that's it, that's the end of my story, well done, they've escaped. And then it continued, and he was like, this is ending me money, or his producer said keep going, or however it works.
Well, it is a part of Shonen Jump, and the way that is produced is definitely like, this is popular, keep it going for as long as you fucking possibly
American
can.
TV.
Yeah, it's like American TV.
Don't let it die.
And it has been competing with One Piece. Like, it is not consistently, but every now and then it will get rated better than One Piece for that week, which is an achievement. I mean, average for the year, still One Piece is king, but it's been competing, which is nothing to... So people are enjoying it, and I can see kind of, why, and it's the world building that there is kind of interesting, but it's just, I wish it would commit as much as it did in the first arc to the gravitas of their situation, or just don't play it up as much.
Yeah.
Could you like, if you don't compare it, so not comparing it to its first arc, comparing it to other sort of popular shonen, it's a good shonen.
I would say that it's pretty good.
Or did they just start really strong?
It's just that I think that's the thing, is I probably wouldn't read this if it had started in the second arc, however that would have happened, because it would have just been pretty good. It would have been like a 6 out of 10, which is not by no means bad, but just not.
But it's worse by comparison. It's worse by what you were expecting it to be. Yeah.
I mean, I read like 25 chapters in 2 days because I just couldn't put it down. I was like, holy fuck, what is going to happen next? And the reveals that they were doing on, like, no spoilers were just insane. And now it's like, okay, we've gotten to our location, but the thing that we want isn't here. We have to go to this location. But it's not here either because the monsters go here and we have to move. And it's just... Now it's an endless string of we can't quite get to where we need to go.
It does sound to me, knowing nothing about it, it does sound like a guy who went, I've got a cool idea for a story, and he sort of did it expecting that it would kind of be popular-ish, and then by the end of the first thing, the kids leave, and he goes, all right, I'm not getting the ratings or whatever, I'll drop out here. And then he was like way more popular than he expected, and he's like, oh fuck yeah, let's do this and then this, and he's doing like stalling tactics. Like they need to go to this location, and then it's not there. They need to just go to a different location.
I would actually really like to talk with somebody about it, so I don't know, but I hate forums.
I have time now, so it's something it's on my list of things to do once I had time.
It might be good to do that, even if you... I think that the first arc is worth reading.
How many chapters were the first arc?
About 30 chapters, 20 pages, which is
and
not too bad.
How many chapters after that, you say? Like
I've read
another,
I think
like 70. Even though it's been declining for those 70.
Well, I wanted to reach a point in the story where I felt was a good jumping off point. Yeah. It wasn't like with One Piece where something happened and I was like, I can't even finish what I'm doing. This is fucked. It was like, let me just finish this story beat at least. Let me just get to the end of this. And then it did, and it just wasn't satisfying, and I'd caught up as well. That was the other thing. Was like I'd caught up, and I was like, well, you know what, maybe I'll put this down, and then 2 years later when there's another 100 chapters out, I'll skim
because as well when there's another 100 chapters out, you then can go onto forums and be like, does it pick up again? And people are like, oh yeah, it really drops off for this middle season and then it picks up around chapter 1.
Which you know what, that could totally happen, and I might be super stoked about that, but with some of the things that it has started to set up in the background, I'm not so sure.
It doesn't seem like it's a good... I've said this before about how it works in the Shonen Jump thing. It doesn't seem like it's conducive to getting good content. Like, It never gives the mangakas a time off to think about new stories, new innovative things. Yeah,
unless you're Oda, who's never had a health problem,
just
fucking loves it.
Never needed a week off.
Married a wife who looks like the main female protagonist of his story.
That's what I don't understand. They're doing it every week. They're doing a comic book every week.
The art style of the art of The Promised Neverland has definitely dips in places, and it has definitely dipped.
Right.
Which is a common thread as well, like what you're about to go into, just the strain of having to try and pump out 20 chapters or 20 pages a week.
Yeah, like how. So not only do you have to produce that, but like research, study, time to come up with ideas. It's insane.
If you've got all that going on, you don't have the time to think about the end of that arc that you're about to come up with.
Yeah. You're always thinking about like that
what's the next chapter? Yeah, I've got to get this thing out by next week, so I need to have the art done or whatever on it.
Yeah.
When do they have time?
But I almost think it's like one of those things where it's like the top will rise, the ones who can can do that. Yeah.
And the ones who can't sustain it die.
Yeah.
Because some more Dr. Stone has come out, but I haven't read it yet. And I think the reason that is still satisfying, or even more satisfying than when it first started, I would say that one's first arc is quite weak.
Yeah.
But then he obviously got a writing, not coach, but some maybe some constructive criticism from the fans, maybe from his editor, and just the main character literally changes.
Right.
He's just like, there's a main character and a secondary character, and then the main character just becomes a tertiary, non-existent character, and the secondary character gets forced into the spotlight.
Okay, wow.
And it becomes so much stronger, but the writer isn't doing the art. So I think that being able to split into a team would definitely help with that, because that is still consistently funny and well written and feels earned to a degree, because they do build a tank relatively quickly. It's made out of wood and stuff, but still it's fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So check those out, I guess, or don't. But with that, I think it's time to move into fake views. So as we know, I have taken off the hat, so I'll just pass it over to you, Robert.
Thank you. Oh, it fits perfectly.
So what are we doing?
Pretty. We are doing fake views. As always, this is a section where I come up with three. I come up with three things, three synopses for anime that could be real synopses or could be ones that I've made up. And I have to test these guys, and I get to laugh at Joel if he gets it wrong, because he's meant to be the senpai. And I get to laugh at Curtis because he also should know more than me, because I'm the noob. I decided that I would randomize whether it was going to be fake or real, so that you can't be like, well, he's done 2 reels, so he must be the next one's fake.
I tried to do that, but it was more often than not
no
too
choosing
real.
it. So I'm going to be rolling a d20 every week and deciding on which ones, whether it's fake or real.
So there's a possibility that it could all be fake or all be real.
Correct.
Cool.
All right, so the first one. After suffering a breakup, the main character uses the newfound freedom he has to try and reconnect with his brother. They adapt a vehicle and take a road trip with one goal in mind: to be the first people to eat noodles on Bentonjima. Hijinks ensue along the way.
Bentonjima?
Bentonjima is an island in the northwest of Japan.
Oh yeah, we're through at the same time because I'm allowed to do collusion. What are the age of these people?
They are sort of young adults.
Young adults.
I'm
gonna go fake.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fake because of the
Specificity?
Specificity of the location.
All right. Any reason for your fake?
Yeah. I just. It seems like it could be different. It does seem like it could be an anime, but I feel like it is a non-anime story, if that makes sense, like a movie, but it's gonna be real.
It is an adventure comedy slice of life from 2016, but it is fake.
Yay!
It is. Do you know where I got the story?
Where?
My life. That happened to
Oh.
that is my life.
Oh, wow.
My brother, after a breakup, I went on a road trip with him, and
Did you go to Japan?
not to Japan.
I-
but
that
we went to John O'Groats, which is the top of Scotland, the very northernmost point. And our whole point was that we took a generator with us and a kettle, and we ate pot noodles. And we were the first people to eat pot noodles at John O'Groats.
That's right. See that
It was just a fun little road trip with my brother.
I did. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, next one. A hikikomori man, a recluse, for those who don't know, lives a mundane life until one day when he finds a note on his vehicle. If you take this note to the police, I will kill an elderly woman. If you don't, I'll kill a schoolteacher. He is forced to participate in a sick game of choice, and the choices keep coming.
Okay, I'm going to go fake.
I'm gonna go real.
Why are you going
Your
real?
reasons?
Just sounds like an anime.
You've already locked in real, so you can't change it.
Real.
Yeah.
I think it's fake or badly written because the whole conceit of a hikikomori is that they don't leave their fucking room unless they absolutely have to, and they couldn't afford a car if they did have that.
That's.
You've already said real though.
Yeah, no. I'm just came for real. I'm sure maybe
It does sound like an anime though,
yeah.
but which is the whole point, I guess.
But
you've said real.
part of those stories is that he is drawn out of the house and
How can he afford a car if he's a hikikomori? So that's the thing. It's either real and badly written,
Okay, yeah.
or it's fake.
Okay.
It is an action, mystery psychological thriller from 2006, but it is fake. It is the story of Velocity by Dean Koontz, a thriller that I read. It's a fantastic book.
The book.
Yeah, it's a book.
Yeah.
It's really good.
He's not a recluse though.
He is a recluse, just not a hikikomori.
Yeah.
His wife's in a coma, and he's reclusive because of that.
Because that's the difference between a hikikomori and a recluse. Is because a recluse is I'm reclusive and I don't like people, but hikikomoris literally do not leave their room, and it's disgusting. So.
I do recommend the book though. It's a fun thriller.
What was it called again?
It's called Velocity.
Velocity.
The guy finds a note, and every time he at the first one he's like, that's a sick prank or whatever, and then he kills the school teacher because he didn't take the note to the police.
Right.
And then he finds out about it, and it's fantastic.
That just on the hikikomori thing, it's like anime is like, why would we ever write a story about a recluse? Like, we're gonna just fucking double down on a recluse. We're gonna make.
But there are people like that.
Yeah.
No.
There's also recluses.
Yeah.
But I don't think you've ever seen an anime with a recluse.
Where they're just reclusive.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Recluse to the nth degree is then it makes a story.
Yeah.
All right, the third one, final one for the week. The bad guys' underwater lair is impenetrable to the spy equipment of the good guys, until they learn that the main bad girl is horny for sea creatures. The good guys train a particularly phallic clam to become a spy and send him in to get the information they need, by whatever means necessary.
See, they sound like it could be a hentai, and I didn't go into hentai. See, I haven't seen enough hentai to know if that one's real or not. Which is a good thing? Bad thing? Well, no, I guess I'll ask afterwards. I think that...
It's an action comedy ecchi.
No. I don't think it's real. I'm going to say fake.
I'll just say real.
It's from 2018, from my own head. It is fake.
Yes! Oh, 3 for 3!
It came from my conversation with a biologist, a marine biologist recently, about a creature called a gooey duck. Have you heard of that?
No.
Heard of a gooey duck? No. It's pronounced gooey duck, but it's spelt geoduck. Geo duck. And it is a clam that looks like a gigantic penis.
It's like a sea cucumber?
No, not particularly. It looks like a gross penis.
Okay.
And it's huge. It gets to a foot long sometimes, and it's quite a delicacy. And I thought, penis, ecchi, hentai, anime, hentai,
well, that's
tentacle-y.
It's good.
I guess that now we know hentai is on the table. That I'll keep that in mind for the future. I have to do some research.
I guess I'll just have to change my daily habits.
Yeah. 3 for 3. Well done, Joel. You earned your place as the senpai.
I had good reasoning for each of them, except for that last one. I was like, I just don't think Robert would have found a hentai. Was the only reason.
Well,
very good.
Yeah.
really quickly, before we move on to our next segment, I just want to say that, listen, guys, you've sucked me bone dry. I've got no more recommendations to give. I mean, there are other anime that I've watched that maybe I could recommend, but it's getting kind of dispassionate. It's just not because the shows aren't good, but because it's been so long since I've seen them that they aren't fresh, and I'm trying to watch new stuff more for the Weeb review, and also because I just want to watch new stuff. So unless you want to hear me talk about maybe video game JRPG recommendations, recommendations are over. They're done. But
done. The death of a segment.
Yeah. But maybe there'll be more Weeb review. I mean, I did a movie and a manga, and I've got a few other things that I could talk about in the future. But yeah, sorry or not sorry. Don't know whether anybody cared.
Yeah, if you want to hear Joel recommend JRPGs, then get in touch. And if you want
mangas,
if you want to hear Joel recommend against things that he's watched and says you shouldn't watch, to save you wasting your time with that.
Yeah, I really quickly on that note, I wonder not how valuable that is, because I do like to hear arguments against things that are perceived to be good, but that falls into the whole thing that we did with Dragon Ball Z, where we're just shitting on something that people do like, which is just a reason for people to not like us. I guess it's different if you just do a quick segment in something larger.
Yeah, of you just saying hey, I watched this and I don't personally recommend it because of these reasons.
True. Thoughts, feelings, wrap up. Hot Wheels, Matchbox, those were car toys I played with when I was a kid, and I thought about them when I watched this movie, and then I crashed them with a Mint Splendor.
Mint Splendor.
Was that just sounds that came out of your face?
That is what rap is.
Yeah.
So my thought process when I'm rapping is I have 2 lines prepared before I start, or a word.
Right.
So
the Hot
Matchbox,
Wheels.
Yeah.
Hot Wheels, relevant.
Yeah.
And then as I start going, I know what I want to get across, but not how to make it rhyme or the words.
That's the challenge.
And that's what freestyle rap is.
Yeah.
So it's
I think it's practice.
Yeah, it'll be practice, because I wanted to talk about how they crashed and it was explodey.
Yeah. You know what, man? This is only episode 43. By episode 143, you'll be.
Well, we've only been doing the raps for 4 episodes, 5 episodes.
Since you jump into this cipher in 143, bam, it'll just be
the anime cipher if we get called out. Yeah. Oh my god.
Is there anime rap? Are there YouTuber anime rappers?
Okay, so before we do the wrap up,
whoa.
Every year there's the anime cipher. Okay. Where anime YouTubers, I don't know who starts it. Who's the fucking asshole who starts it? Somebody does a diss rap against all the other anime YouTubers that they disagree with, and then they call out 1 or 2 other anime YouTubers, and then if you don't do the rap, you're a bitch, and then your job is to diss everybody and talk about how good at reviewing anime you are, and then call out another 2 people, and it spreads like a disease.
Wow.
So the anime cipher happens. Yeah. So you can look at some anime rap. I don't actually know many anime rap, but Moe Shop, which is a future funk DJ, gets rap artists to guest star on some of their tracks. And one of my favorite is from the live show, and it opens up, but I can't remember all of it. But the first line on the whole album is I'm a hentai superstar, and then it goes into it. Nice. And I was like, fuck yeah. And he's I got 2D hoes, you know who you are. So yeah, the long story short is there is.
So we'll know we've made it on the anime review scene if we get called out for the anime cipher. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Well, technically we're on YouTube. And Curtis, where else are we?
Good segue, man. Seamless.
Twitter, Reddit.
Fuck yeah.
MSN,
yeah. Got Hotmail.
Yeah.
Fib. You could also just email us directly at KYFCaYAC at gmail.com. That's KYFCaYAC@gmail.com. You could tell a friend about us. That'd be really helpful for us.
You could leave a recommendation. Smash that review button. Get us around. We're still trying to get off the ground. We can't afford Plus Ultra Star Nitrous. So the only way to do it is
Not on this
by
planet anyway. Have you seen the exchange rate?
yeah, sure. So you have to lend us your spirit power, so we can charge our podcast bomb, so we can achieve our goal. And what's our goal? Well, you got to tell more people, so that we'll tell people what our ultimate goal is. It's a secret. Or email us, and then we'll reply. I would just also really quickly like to thank the couple of people who are talking to us on YouTube, specifically I think is the most active. So if you're looking for other people to talk to, YouTube is the best place at the moment. Robert's been very busy, which is a part of the reason that we haven't been that active on Reddit or Facebook. The other reason is that I'm terrified of the internet. And Curtis doesn't have the internet, as far as I'm aware.
Not at home.
Yeah. Which is good, he's off the grid. Anyways. Oh, wait, what's that? What are we... We haven't said what we're going to be watching next week.
We're just staring into a chasm. We're on the edge.
Into a chasm. It's alright, I've put a pillow down there, and that is Land of the Lustrous, or Hoseki no... Oh, fuck. No, that's right.
Yeah,
God damn it.
That sounds right.
Hoseki no Kuni, Land of the Lustrous. We're going to be watching that starting next week. That should take us right up until Christmas. And, watch along with us. I've heard nothing but good things. It's relatively recent. It's CG. It's going to be a decent departure from Utena, although it kind of looks like a Magical Girl show a little bit, but without the transformations. And technically they don't have genders because they're asexual rock people. But, hopefully that'll be good. Yeah. If you're like, I really wanted you guys to watch Keijo. Listen, I feel like we would have gotten bored after about 3 episodes. I watched the first episode and boy was that fun. A fun 20 minutes. I don't know if that would be a fun 4 weeks.
Yeah, it might get old fast.
Yeah, but I'll have something to say about that maybe next week, maybe. You'll have to listen. But until then, I've been your anime commentator, Joel.
It was your anime spectator, Robert.
Been filming this whole thing.
Shut the fuck up!
Where are you going to post it?
RedTube.